everyone, welcome to this lesson. So this is going to be the first lesson of the first chapter. And before we go into and dive into the numerical methods concepts and write their associating code, we first need to set up Excel and VBA so we can actually write code. But another thing that we need to do is go through how to actually program. We're going to go through the repetition structure of programming, and this is basically how to use the for next loop and the do while loop, and also the decision structure part of programming, which is the if else statement. In addition to that, we're going to work on incorporating inbuilt functions inside of our code, and inbuilt functions are functions that are already part of Excel's library. And another thing that we're going to do is we're going to introduce a lot of the keywords that we're going to be using in programming. Now in this lesson, we're going to set up just as far as we are ready to write code. Now, if you have not used Excel and VBA before, the first thing that you need to do is to enable the Developers tab. And the way to do that is you go to File, and you go to Options, and then you go to Customize Ribbon. And make sure that the developer here is checkmarked, and you press OK. Another shorter route to do this is to go up here to the ribbon, right-click, and Customize Ribbon, and it's going to give you the same window, and make sure that the developer is checkmarked. Now that you have the Developers tab up here, go and press on it, and go to the farthest left, and you're going to have an icon named Visual Basic. I want you to press on that. And this is going to be the platform that you're going to be writing your program in. Now, the thing that I want to explain is the shortcut tab up here. This is where most of your time is going to be spent. Now, the first icon here is important because it actually calls back the associated Excel sheet to this VBA code. And what I mean by that is if I minimize this and I press on this, it calls back this Excel sheet. So if you have this maybe maximized and you're writing the code specifically on the screen, but you want to call your Excel sheet, you would do this by this icon. This icon here is basically to insert the module, basically where you're going to be writing your code. So you press down and you create a module this way. The next thing that you would do is to rename your module. So since this is the first lesson, let's say Get Started is the name of our program. Now, there are two things that you can't do when you're renaming. You can't add foreign characters, and you can't add spaces. So if I add a space, you're going to find that I get an error. So let's rename it again, Get Started. So now we have the module renamed. Here is we save the project. So make sure you save the project, but sometimes Excel might crash and the code might not be saved. So make sure you routinely save your project. This play, pause, and stop, this is where you run, stop, and pause or stop your program. This is called the Project Explorer, which is basically where your programming files are. This is this window here. And this is your Properties window, which is the one down here. The only property of our program that is available right now is the name of the program. Sometimes I would want to have more space than this, so I would close these windows. But if I want to have access to my programming files, or I want to have access to my properties window, I just go easily up here and just press on these two and activate these windows again. Now, one more thing I want to go through is how to actually save an Excel sheet that has code in it, because you have two types of Excel sheet. You have an Excel sheet that you have only data on the spreadsheet, and you have Excel sheet that not only has data but has macros or codes in the background. So if I go to File and I go to Save As, and I say I want to save in this folder here. When you're saving this, name it, and also save as type. When you're doing the type, if I do just Excel workbook, that's without any associated code. That's just the spreadsheet. So if you save this as a spreadsheet while you have code, it's not going to be saved. But if I do Excel macro enabled workbook, that says that I not only have information on the spreadsheet, but I also have information in the code. So save both. So we're going to save. Yes. So this is it for this lesson. So let's actually recap what we learned in this lesson. We learned how to enable the Developers tab. We learned how to open VBA. We learned how to access the attached spreadsheet by this icon here, how to create a module, and how to rename it. And we renamed it by Get Started. how to save it, and also how to save it as macro enabled, so we can save both the spreadsheet and the code. How to run, pause, and reset our code. How to activate the proper Project Explorer window and the Properties window if you choose to make more space and close them. So you just activate them this way. Now, in the next lesson, we're going to actually go through the two types of functions that we write in VBA, which are functions and subroutines, and how to manipulate them. So that's it for this lesson, and I'll see you in the next lesson.